go. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I think we figured this out. Once again, my name is Dr. Kole-James, pharmacist, founder of Fun on the Farm. This is day 11 of our 30-day September challenge for mastering positive change. I am so happy that we are here this evening together. We are talking about brain-enhancing drugs and how they affect yourself, how they affect your health, and how they could affect your relationships. We are streaming live to Facebook page Fun on the Farm and my YouTube channel, Dr. Kole-James. Thank you so much for being here with me. And sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm using this software called Wirecast. It's a pretty awesome software that allows me to play music and have all these lower thirds, like my website, www.funonthefarm, my name on here, and also my logo. So it's pretty cool, but hey, technology. Sometimes you just have to take a pause and try and figure out what's going on. So make sure you put your name and email in the link below. Download the study guide so you can follow along with the topics for the month. Thank you for being patient and joining me throughout the first 10 days. This is day 11. So we are talking about brain-enhancing drugs. And to be more specific, we're going to be talking about adult stimulants and also a class of drugs called Neurotropics. Let's see who's here with us today. Okay, so we have, hey Kashan, thank you for joining us this evening. Hey Brother Chu, how are you? Hello Juliet, thank you for joining me. Hey Veronica. Hey you guys, hey Tanya, how you doing? What's happening? Hey Tasha, hey Stephanie, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you. So, brain enhancing drugs. The first class we're going to talk about is adult stimulants. And these medications are help to increase clarity, help to increase the ability to focus, and also your productivity. And how they were created were originally from child ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And it's still, it's one of the most common psychological disorders in children to date, and it's still, these medications are widely prescribed. And I'm just going to cover amphetamines and methylphenidates for the purpose of our time here. I have more information on my website and a course that I'll be creating in October, so you can feel free to get some more information at that time. So today we're going to talk about amphetamines, methylphenidates. So these class of drugs have been increased use in adults over the past 5 to 10 years. And when I'm in the retail setting, I was filling about 5 to 10 prescriptions a day, depending on the volume of the store I was working at. Let's say if we filled about 150 for the day, I'd get about 5 to 10, and that's about 7%. So if you think about it, it has been on a rise, and probably because of our lifestyle or whatever, the need to get stuff done in a shorter amount of time. So that's the reason why I want to talk about it today. And at first thing I want to do is to tell you that all drugs produce an effect, whether it's desired or a side effect. It's important to know that in the beginning before you take any medication. So you want the desired effect of the drug is the drug doing what it said it was going to do. However, you could get some side effects. So the side effects of the adult stimulants are possibly increased irritability, decreased appetite, which some people might like, an increase of heart rate, and also increase of anxiety, and sometimes increase insomnia. So sometimes if people take it later on in the evening, they might have a hard time falling asleep. So these medications usually are covered under the insurance depending on what plan you have. And also it's important to know that they are class 2. So they're highly regulated by the federal government. They're class 2, meaning they're legal, but there's a time limit on each prescription that you have. You have to fill it within a certain amount of time, and also it expires earlier as well. So it's important to know that. So the second class, and make sure you post your questions down below and I'll get to them. The second class of drug that we're going to talk about today are called neurotropics. And actually, this is a new class for me. It's fairly new that it was created about in the 1970s, so it's fairly new, and the literature is evolving every single day as far as what place and what use can this drug be viable for. And I'm not opposed to any drug that can help someone, because we're all made differently, right? We all have a different genetic makeup. We all have different experiences. We have different other medications that we're taking. Our bodies respond different to every medication that we're taking. So I'm not opposed. I think there's a place for all medications, and I'm talking about a wide span from even class 1 drugs like LSD to your Parkinson's drugs like that are, on the regular class. And we know that the amount of literature and the studies that have been approved for medical marijuana and the amount of use and the beneficial properties for people in pain, for people with Parkinson's. So when it comes to drugs, I'm not opposed to any drugs. I think it's everyone has different experiences and everyone's bodies are different. We just have to make sure that we do our due diligence. So that's why we're talking about neurotropics. Especially, there's a lot of new podcasts that have been coming out that are just, making it seem like it's the best thing since sliced bread. Has anybody seen the movie Limitless? I did. I actually thought it was fascinating, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's seen it. They actually just created like a television show about it that I don't follow, but the movie was really good. And and I'm not going to give away the movie, but as we can see, if you've watched the movie, everything has limits, right? Everything has side effects. So these and they don't call themselves medications, the actual neurotropics. They call themselves just supplements. And we all remember that from last week, actually. The different supplements and what supplements can actually do to the body. They're not regulated under the FDA, so that there's no government regulation body that's controlling these neurotropics. And just if you're interested, if you heard about it, just make sure you Google it and get some information. So I Googled it, and this is some of the information. In addition to some textbooks that I've read about them, I compiled this information so I can present it to you and you can be more informed. That's why we're here, right? Patient empowerment. The best patient is an informed and educated patient, and that's my mission. So neurotropics, they're supposed to increase your motivation in addition to your cognitive ability. And they say that they can't be in order to be called a neurotropic, you cannot be a stimulant, you cannot be a sedative. You have to help repair brain function. You have to increase cognition, and so you have to increase the ability of your brain to function, and you have to increase the neurons. So more neurons, more activity in the brain, and that's important to know, because when I was talking about ADHD earlier, the way these drugs work is they increase neurotransmitters, the dopamine and the norepinephrine in the prefrontal cortex. So you have this area in the brain. So the more dopamine, the more norepinephrine you have floating around, you're supposed to be able to focus more. Your memory is supposed to be more improved. You have more clarity. Your ability to stay at a certain task longer is improved. And of course, that can become toxic as well if there's too much floating around. But that's basically the gist of it. That's how the drugs were created, to prevent that reuptake or to increase basically the dopamine, the norepinephrine floating around. So these drugs, they don't want to be called medications because they're saying, no, medications are just for sick people. So they call themselves these neurotropics. They're not medications because they're supposed to be for healthy people, to make them even better, to make them limitless, I guess. And like I said, you do your research. But it startles me that they can provide information about their product that's not, you don't need a prescription for, it's not regulated. And I'm going to read you verbatim what they have on their website. And I was just like, this is kind of alarming. So neurotropics are a powerful tool for assisting and enhancing social abilities to best treated as part of a rounded strategy of self-improvement. And if you break it down, I'm like, sign me up. That's what my consumer body says, right? And then my pharmacist body says, wait a minute. How can you say that you're going to do all that? And they don't really talk about side effects. So the only side effect really that I saw was increased headache. But then when you do your research more and more, and you're looking online and you're looking at these case studies and you're looking at people and their testimonials, it's like people are really experiencing some serious side effects like brain fog and people who have lost their memory. So these drugs say that they increase your memory, they increase your cognitive ability, but then the side effect that a lot of people have been experiencing is memory loss. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. How do you, they probably forgot because they had memory loss. So the reason why I think this is really important to understand is because you have, and this is our focus point. This is actually one of the questions that I got today that I was happy someone asked me. They emailed me. They said, are neurotropics safe? And that brings us to one of our focus points. And I call them focus points, PHOCUS, because my blog is Focus on the Farm. Go on my website, check it out. I think it's under the services tab. So, neurotropics, I can't tell you if they're safe or not, but what I can tell you is that all drugs produce an effect. It's either desired or it's a side effect. And maybe it produces the desired effect and you get a side effect, and that's not so desirable. So the first focus point is to make sure you do your research. Make sure you read about the medication. Make sure you read, they don't want to call it medication. Make sure you read about the drug, everything about it. Make sure you know like the side effects, what is the intended effect, how long it's supposed to be worked for, what other medications or what other drugs that are supposed to be taking with it. Like I said, there's a slew of information online. So I know a lot of people have been, the buzz is getting louder and louder. I just want to make sure people do their due diligence, do your research before you start taking. And that's how it starts, right? You have your average patient who might be a diabetic, who may be hypertensive, and they're at their gym, they're getting their 10 minutes in a day, which is awesome because that's what we're talking about. You want to make sure you get your 10 minutes minimum every single day for the month of September, and then hopefully we're going to increase that as the months progress. But you have your average patient, diabetic, hypertension at the gym, and their buddy's like, hey, this could help your, help your ability, help your performance. It allows you to go maybe a little longer as far as at the gym, and then you take it and like, yeah, I can go, an hour at the gym. And then you go online and you order yourself a bottle and you're taking it every day, and then you're like, oh, I'll talk to my prescriber next month, and then you don't. And that's when the side effects start to happen. Maybe there's an interaction with something that you're already taking. And that's why you need to schedule your RX Power Hour. And what this is, it's just a comprehensive medication review of all your medications that you're taking, making sure there's no interactions with your prescriptions, your over-the-counter, your vitamins, your supplements, any medication that you're taking. Making sure that we create a personal medication record for you. And there's a free copy. Actually, you can go to my website, download a free copy of your personal medication record for you that you can fill out and take to your physician's office when you have your appointments. Your doctors always want you to have your personal medication record on you. And so you can download it on my website and fill out and take it with you. Or you can schedule your RX Power Hour and we can do that together. We also come up with action plans too that'll help you reach your health goals. So it's a pretty awesome service if I say so myself. I'm going to take some questions. Let's see if there's having any questions. Hey Gino. Hey Chandra. Hey Linwood. Thank you for joining us. I am so happy you are here this evening. Let's see who else is here. Yeah, so The neurotropics, you definitely want to make sure you do your due diligence before you start taking. And there's a slew of them. Even melatonin falls into the category of neurotropics just because it falls under that criteria that I shared with you earlier. But melatonin is something that we produce naturally in our brain. And of course, there's limits to that as well. There's dosing that goes from 1 milligram to 10 milligrams. And each dose works differently in each individual. So it's all about which drug works for you. And before you can know that, you should focus point number 2, talk to your prescriber. It's so important to talk to your medical prescriber before you start any new medication regimen. And that's because the amount of training that you get in medical school, the amount of training that pharmacists get in pharmacy school, it's so that we can take that full picture into account before any recommendations are made. So before you start any new medication, especially something that enhances your cognitive abilities and say there's no side effects, make sure you talk to your prescriber first. Good question. Let's see, what's the other question? Can you take... No, see, neurotropics, the question is, can you take neurotropics if you have high blood pressure? And I don't know the answer to that. Immediately, I'm just like, no, but I don't know the answer to that without knowing exactly what high blood pressure medications you're taking, knowing exactly what your history is, and to knowing what kind of neurotropics that you're interested in taking. There's like 30 different type of neurotropics that all purportedly say they do something different. So I would definitely, it's not as specific as saying, can I take this because I have this? It's very specific. These are man-made drugs. You know, they weren't made, you know, in a lab in the house. I mean, they're made in hoods and sterile environments, and they're very, very complex drugs. And for you just to think that because it's in a powder form and you have your other medication, it's in a powdered form, that they can go together is a complete untruth. You have to do your due diligence, and you have to make sure that you have your best interests at heart. Good question. Okay. Hey, Grace, how you doing? Hey, Jetta, how's it going? Let's see. The next question is, how would a patient know if their neurotropic medication was causing toxic effects? That's a great question. And it depends on the side effect profile of the neurotropic medication. So a lot of these, the neurotropics, they have side effects such as increased headache, increased nausea, increased heart rate, increased inability to sleep, like increased insomnia, decreased appetite. So it just depends on if the side effect profile, which side effect profile is showing which symptoms or which side effect that you're experiencing from. Let's say you may have like weight gain. It's probably not from the neurotropic, because those usually don't cause weight gain. So it's you have to kind of like isolate what side effect you're experiencing, and then you're more likely to isolate it to that, and then, you know, attribute it to that drug that has that side effect profile. But like I said, everybody's body is different, so everyone metabolizes or breaks down the medication differently. So it's kind of hard to tell right off the bat what medication is causing what without isolating that exact side effect and then, you know, going through the whole side effect profile. Great question. Okay. Hey, Grace, Dr. Grace, thank you for joining. We got a lot of doctors on board. What do you doctors think? Share some information. Hey, Chris Brown, Gino, thank you guys for joining me this evening. I am so excited. We are here every day in the month of September at 9:30 p.m. streaming live to Facebook and YouTube. My YouTube channel is Dr. Kole-James, and also the link below. Put your name and email so you can follow along with the study guide. All right, we're going to end it here. Until tomorrow. So, our topic tomorrow is habits of successful people. That's going to be a great topic. Have you been taking notes? Have you been taking notes? No, just kidding. All right, but no, I got some great information to share with you. So make sure you're here tomorrow. Until then, self-love yourself. What is more important than you? Thank you.